today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi saying that everything was completely changed after President Trump came out and admitted that he did indeed in some form speak with and potentially pressure the Ukrainian president to investigate Joe Biden.
This isn't relitigating the past. This isn't relitigating the election with Hillary Clinton. This is about the president abusing his office in seeking political dirt about an election that's upcoming.
I think you have more people on the side of saying politics be damned here for a moment. There may be a real moral call that there's a constitutional responsibility here to hold the president accountable.
That call was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer. What Joe Biden did for his son, that's something they should be looking at.
This is a 5-page transcript. It appears to be a nearly complete transcript of the July call where President Trump asked Ukrainian President Zelensky several times to collaborate with Attorney General Barr and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, to look into Biden and his son Hunter. Now, he doesn't specifically mention military aid, but says the U.S. has been, quote, very, very good to Ukraine. So not an explicit quid pro quo, but the president was clearly teeing up his requests to Ukraine.
Impeachment for that?
From my point of view, to impeach any president over a phone call like this would be insane.
The American people are going to view this and roll their eyes because it's going to sound to them like much of the same thing they've been hearing for the last 3 years.
So what's the process? How does impeachment work? Well, the investigation is going to go forward, and if the people in charge of the House of Representatives, the Democrats, think that there is enough to go forward with impeachment, the House Judiciary Committee will consider what's called articles of impeachment, which are specific charges. And if they vote articles of impeachment, then the full House of Representatives will vote on whether Donald Trump will be impeached. Now, if there is a majority in support of impeachment, Donald Trump doesn't lose his office. That's like a formal charge. It's like an indictment. So if Donald Trump is indicted the way Bill Clinton was impeached, then the case will go to the United States Senate. It takes 2/3, 67 votes in the Senate, to remove a president from office. I think everyone believes it's very unlikely in a Republican-controlled Senate.
Impeaching Trump could epically backfire on Democrats heading into the 2020 election cycle. They've got plenty of races to focus on winning instead of trying to undo a race that they, sorry Democrats, already lost. It would, simply put, turn Trump into a victim, a place he loves to be. Impeaching Trump in the House without a real chance of the Senate following suit hands the president the ability to say that Democrats hate him so much that they are unfairly targeting him and ignoring their responsibilities to the country.
Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. The United States has been searching for Baghdadi for many years. Capturing or killing Baghdadi has been the top national security priority of my administration. U.S. Special Operations Forces executed a dangerous and daring nighttime raid in northwestern Syria and accomplished their mission in grand style. The U.S. personnel were incredible. I got to watch much of it. No personnel were lost in the operation, while a large number of Baghdadi's fighters and companions were killed with him. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. The compound had been cleared by this time, with people either surrendering or being shot and killed. 11 young children were moved out of the house and are uninjured. The only ones remaining were Baghdadi in the tunnel, and he had dragged 3 of his young children with him. They were led to certain death. He reached the end of the tunnel as our dogs chased him down. He ignited his vest, killing himself and the 3 children. His body was mutilated by the blast. The tunnel had caved in on it in addition. But test results gave certain, immediate, and totally positive identification. It was him.
We talk about the takedown of al-Baghdadi. What do you think of how this went down?
Well, obviously, it's a great triumph for our special forces, for our intelligence community, and we all as Americans ought to recognize that his passing makes us marginally safer, and it was a milestone in the fight against ISIS. But the notion that this means it's all over, that one can declare mission accomplished, is completely false, as we've learned the hard way in this part of the world time and again. We can't take the pressure off, and that's why President Trump's decision to unilaterally and prematurely withdraw remaining American forces from northern Syria is so detrimental to the fight against ISIS, but also to to our ability to keep Russia and Iran and Assad in check, as well as Turkey's ambitions.
Well, let's talk about the book, because you write about that in your book. And you say Trump's announcement back in 2018 to withdraw troops from Syria created a risk for ISIS to revive and reinvent itself. Is there still a risk now, even though al-Baghdadi is dead?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Baghdadi is important symbolically. He's a leader, but we've seen time and again, whether with new leadership, new names, whatever, these terrorist groups easily reconstitute. And this one was not down and out. It was just down. So we have every reason to be concerned. The Secretary of Defense has already announced that 100 ISIS captives, terrorists who had been in prison, have escaped. Somehow President Trump thinks it's more important to guard dormant oil fields than to protect the Kurds and protect our gains against ISIS. So everything is upside down here, and it's quite dangerous for our security.
When President Trump looked at the First Lady and smiled, and smiled, and smiled, was he hearing what we were hearing? Lots of booing, plus an impeach Trump banner, and veterans for impeachment peeping out behind home plate, not to mention. Hey, but at least nobody threw any shoes at him like they did at President George W. Bush in Baghdad. Was that a ball or a strike? Practically all politicians get booed. For instance, Mike Pence, arriving at the Broadway musical Hamilton.
I nudged my kids and reminded them that's what freedom sounds like.
Freedom sounded like this when Hillary Clinton said Bernie Sanders wasn't a Democrat till he ran for president.
And well, it's true. It's true. You know it's true.
It's bad enough getting booed, but imagine getting booed on your birthday. That's what happened to Rudy Giuliani on his 74th birthday at his beloved Yankee Stadium.
The New York Yankees wish you a very happy birthday to Mayor Giuliani.
Happy birthday, Rudy, said the New York Post. President Obama even got booed by the Boy Scouts. No! After he sent a video message rather than appearing in person at the Scout Jamboree. No! But Obama turned boos to cheers at the Democratic Convention.
There's Donald Trump. Don't boo, vote.
Candidate Trump got booed for trying to silence Jeb Bush.
Let me talk quiet.
How tough is it?
But don't bother trying to shush an entire stadium. You're destined to strike out big league. Ginny Mose, CNN, New York.